Welcome to Capitol Theater's Musical Moments. This series of educational and hopefully entertaining offerings is made possible by the generous support of our sponsors, Popoff Inc., Concrete Contracting, with additional support from Baker Boyer Bank, Fresh Hop Group, G.H. Moen LLC, the Moen Family, Red and Carolyn Ramsey, Yakima Sunrise Rotary, and from donors just like you.
Hello!
Hello!
Welcome back, or if this is your first time, welcome to Musical Moments for the Capitol Theater. This is Charlie.
This is Al.
And we are thrilled to offer yet another offering. This time, however, a little something different. Al is featured.
I like me.
That's
do like
awesome.
him.
He does like him a lot.
Oh.
We need to get out. Anyway, Al, why don't you tell them what this is all about?
This is from one of my favorite shows. The show is called Little Shop of Horrors. First time I saw Little Shop of Horrors, I really didn't know anything about it. The only thing I knew about it was this Welsh guy. I was in London, right? This Welsh guy told me, "Oh, it's brilliant. It's all about a rock and roll plant." So that was everything I knew about the show. I went to see it and loved it. Bought the album, memorized it. And this is one of my favorite songs from the show, sung by the character Audrey, who is the love interest of our hero Seymour. So this is Audrey singing Somewhere That's Green.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
You've seen the stage version, you've seen the film version. Which do you prefer?
Stage.
Why?
It's a lot more impressive and to me engaging and kind of thrilling to know that there's a puppeteer in there doing everything live. It's like his legs go into the leaves that are draping over the pot. His legs are doing that and his hands are doing that. And it's really just amazing.
If you have no idea what we're talking about, you need to see this show. So, without further ado, Al Fischer in Somewhere That's Green.
A matchbox of our own, a fence of real chain link, a grill out on the patio, disposal in the sink, a washer and a dryer, and an ironing machine. In a trapped house that we share, somewhere that's green. He rakes and trims the grass. He loves to mow and weed. I cook like Betty Crocker, and I look like Donna Reed. There's plastic on the furniture to keep it neat and clean. In the pine saw scented air, somewhere that's green. Between our frozen dinner and our bedtime, 9:15, we snuggle watching Lucy on our big, enormous 12-inch screen. I'm his December bride. He's father, he knows best. The kids watch Howdy Doody as the sun sets in the west. A picture out of Better Homes and Gardens magazine. Far from Skid Row, I dream we'll go somewhere that's green.
I so enjoy listening to him. So, Little Shop of Horrors is the example of a show that has gone through a lot of versions and a lot of adaptations. It originally premiered as a film in the early 1960s. oddly enough, with Jack Nicholson as a masochistic dental patient. When it then was adapted for the stage, it was for an off-Broadway production, and the musical actually didn't include the masochistic dental patient character at all. But then in 1986, it was remade as a film again, but this time based on the musical. Oddly enough, though, they did actually put back in the masochistic dental patient, which was Bill Murray in that version. A wonderful performance if you haven't seen it. You know, by the time it actually made it to Broadway in 2003, that show had had so many versions, so many adaptations, and a presence on the stage that it was actually categorized as a revival, even though it had never, therefore, had the opportunity to be considered for a Best Original Musical Tony Award. And despite great box office success at both the screen and the stage, it never actually won either an Oscar or a Tony. It did receive a lot of nominations and along the way, and it did receive some awards from the New York theater critics. Now, it might be said that imitation is the highest form of flattery. And by extension, we might even say that adaptation is a pretty good compliment as well. But adaptation doesn't always refer to quality, and sometimes it's a better quality when you have an adaptation, and sometimes it's not. You know, how many times have we heard, "Oh, I so enjoyed the book so much better than the movie"? Within these musical moments, you've probably heard me reference the original source material quite a lot. You know, and indeed, books have been a great source for many of the musicals we've talked about and others. I can think of Les Miserables and its source material, a book by Victor Hugo of the same name. Charles Dickens gave us the book Oliver Twist, on which the musical Oliver was based. You know, we go to the Bible and look at Jesus Christ Superstar and Godspell even as source material for those. You know, then we also have folklore and fairy tales, countless princess stories that have emerged from those. And of course, within that genre, you can definitely see the perfect compilation of all those fairy tales lumped into one, which was Into the Woods, certainly one of our favorites. You know, and I mean, even Annie was adapted from a comic strip. So the source materials are varied, to say the least. There's also a lot of examples of plays being expanded into musicals. You know, we can look at a Shakespearean work like Romeo and Juliet and see the perfect example it is for what became West Side Story. Or even more directly, Pygmalion, which then became the wonder that is My Fair Lady. I think within our contemporary market, what we see more often now is a relationship between the stage and the movie screen. Now, I still remember when I was a kid and had the opportunity to see shows like Once Upon a Mattress, featuring Carol Burnett, which were filmed versions of the stage performances, maybe with a few more camera angles. PBS is now doing that, and I'm loving the adaptations that they're doing, where they are recording stage versions from London and New York of popular musicals. And that is such a great opportunity, especially now since our live performance opportunities are so limited within the pandemic. You know, what we get to see more often ultimately are examples of the big movie musical. And for that, we can look all the way back with a huge hat-off nod to Rodgers and Hammerstein, because from the moment they created shows like Oklahoma and The King and I, they created a formula for that blockbuster look that was perfect for adaptation for the screen. And those big opening numbers and all of that, which made the perfect vehicle for us to see these really amazing musical theater productions made more accessible and more available for a movie audience. I think ultimately the real difference between the stage versions and the film versions, especially in the early movie musicals, really was the more elaborate sets and the locations that were possible in the film versions. And like I said, they often were far more true to the story with those original movie musicals. Now, more contemporary movie musicals, I think, are not quite as strict to their original source. And I think Little Shop of Horrors is a perfect example of that. when the film version was being pre-screened for Little Shop of Horrors release, the audience didn't like the darker ending. So the producers went back in, filmed a different ending, a happier, lighter side, and that is what was released to the public. So one of the other things they often do with the big new movie musical releases is that they will actually take full advantage of the opportunity to win that Best Original Song Oscar. So you get new material for the movie than you would get otherwise. In Little Shop of Horrors, that was Mean Green Mother from Outer Space, which was the first time profanity was included in a movie musical song. But Dreamgirls actually included 4 new songs for its movie version. So taking opportunities that, they may not otherwise have if it is in the truer versions that the original movie musicals really were the example of. I generally worry most when we see examples where the star power celebrity casting is imposed on a show, which leads to some embarrassing moments for truly talented actors who are put in a place where either the scale or the scope of the song, their abilities are not up to the role. And, I will fast forward through parts of Mamma Mia whenever it's time for Pierce Brosnan to swoon. And I'll do the same during Les Mis when Russell Crowe laments. But nonetheless, whether you prefer the film version, the stage version, the book, or whatever other way we're able to experience these, it's nice to have options while our options are limited. And ultimately, you can always pull out the original Broadway cast album and listen to that. So once again, thanks for sticking around with me. Thank you to my collaborative partner and husband, Al Fischer, and to all of our sponsors. Please remember to keep connected while we are all mindfully keeping apart. Thanks so much.